It's our duty to close the gap between the rich and the poor now, today, and not wait for the future. So there's the famous story that Jesus tells in Luke 16 of Lazarus and the rich man. And the rich man, he feasts lavishly in his house, and at his gate, at his very doorstep, is Lazarus, this poor man who dogs lick his wounds. They both die. Lazarus rests with Abraham. The rich man goes to hell. And the rich man sees Abraham and Lazarus, and the rich man says, let Lazarus cross over to me to give me a drink of water. Let me go warn my family, or let Lazarus does it. And Abraham says no. And the irony in the rich man's request, he's like, let's cross these giant chasms, the chasms between Abraham's resting place, the sort of paradise state, and where I am, the abode of the dead. And it didn't have to be this way. The poor man, Lazarus, was at the rich man's gate. There was such a little gap between the two of them that the rich man in his life could have made a step to close that gap between the rich and the poor. Now, it's often that this passage, Luke 16, is used as a way of sort of picturing the afterlife, picturing what heaven and hell are going to be like. And I think that's a mistake. I think Jesus is using the sort of folk imagery of his day to make a point. I also think that this is not Scripture's sort of final word on this, because we see from Ephesians and 1 Peter that Jesus actually does bridge that chasm. Jesus does empty out hell and open up hell's gates, and Revelations is that Jesus holds the keys to Hades, and if Jesus is holding the keys, that he's probably going to open up those gates. But the point of the passage is the sort of condemnation of the rich. John Wesley said that it's not a sin to be rich, it's just incredibly dangerous. And I think the lesson to be learned is we don't need to wait for the afterlife. We don't have to wait for some paradise state to bridge the gap. We can do it now.